As we enter a rare and powerful cosmic moment marked by the second new moon of December, what can ancient prophecies teach us about navigating this time of renewal? How do these layered insights from the Mayan calendar, indigenous wisdom, and cosmic cycles guide us toward rootedness, forgiveness, and transformation? As we explore the prophetic rhythms shaping our world today and uncover the steps we can take to align with them. Welcome to Prophetic Cycles, aligning with the ancient future.
Tune in with the Galactic Spin podcast and expand your view.
In Lakesh, and greetings to all out here in the presence of this sacred moment. My name is Mikuak Rai, Kin 126. We are happy to be here with our co-host and collaborator Ruben Llinás, Kin 113, celebrating the 13th episode of the Galactic Spin podcast, reaching this milestone marker for us. Greetings to you, Brother Ruben. You're looking great. How's it going? Welcome to the episode. Come off mute for me.
Greetings, Brother Makua. Thank you again for the introduction. And yes, very honored and excited to be here on this 13th episode. Without planning, we embarked on this adventure 13 weeks ago. So it's a perfect quarter of the entire path that we are going to walk until the golden intersection. So an amazing opportunity to have a guest like Brother Kwame and hear about his perspectives and learn from him. This is the time of the prophecies, that all the prophecies are coming together. So we are having a prophetic convergence, and so honored to be able to share the stage with him today and speak about these prophetic cycles.
Absolutely. Lots of convergences happening. And it's exciting because, as you said, we've been holding this space for 13 weeks, 13 episodes, and it just continues to build upon itself organically, beautifully. So truly, we are honored to have Baba Kwame Sun Horse with us on location for this episode this evening, episode number 13. So let's get right into it. We're going to go ahead into the Earth's Pulse. Thank you for everybody tuning in with us, and we're so grateful that you're here. And as we have been tracking since the beginning of this podcast, there are many phenomenal things, we might say, happening in our star system and our solar system on the planetary whole. Lots of things happening. And I'd love to invite you, Ruben, to just go ahead and jump right in.
Yes, well, since the purpose of this section is to track the pulse of the Earth, and this pulse of the Earth, this biorhythm, gets affected by solar activity because the sun is hundreds of thousands of times bigger than the Earth. So, of course, anything that happens on the sun, it's reflected on the Earth. This is something very intuitive that we are just starting to realize, that every time that the sun has a major explosion, well, that explosion affects the Earth because we are in that heliosphere, or that sphere of the sun. So anything that happens, us being the third orbit in the solar system, well, everything that happens to the sun is going to affect us, and that's how it's an interesting fact that the year 2025, Gregorian year 2025, is going to close and start with peak solar activity. As predicted, let's remember that it was on October 15, the Gregorian calendar anniversary of 2023, the 442 years from the Gregorian calendar, that scientists consider that the solar cycle 25 was reaching its peak, and this is part of that peak activity. So since that moment of that was marking the start and the beginning of the Gregorian calendar, where it was announced, until now, that today we are basically acknowledging the fact that most people in the planet are tracking the Gregorian year, and of course having this kind of fireworks in the sky, natural fireworks for this transition is auspicious. It's prophetic, so it's a great preamble to what we are going to speak today, and of course let's don't underestimate the power of this radiation. We are going to have according to NOAA, the prediction is to have a G3 or G2, which are moderated geomagnetic storms. And usually we may feel dizzy, we may feel restless, we may feel thirsty, we may feel tired because our bodies need to process this new vibration that is arriving. And it's if we go to the next slide, it's interesting to notice that since this is going to be the peak year of solar cycle 25, that it starts with peak activity. Well, it's a sign. The sun is communicating also through these activities, and since the fact that the solar cycle is supposed to be higher than 2012, because we can see here in this graphic the last couple of solar cycles, solar cycle 23 and solar cycle 24. It was supposed to peak in 2012. That was the prediction. But it seems like it's this year, which is 13 years apart from 2012, that we are reaching that new peak in the poles of the sun. So we also have been tracking a new channel. So this is a brother from, I think is from the California, from San Diego, that has been doing interesting work tracking the solar activity. And in this chart, in his latest transmission, it was like 1 hour, 90-minute live stream full of important data and correlations between the solar activity and the relationship between this activity and the spontaneous social processes, like where we are seeing on this graphic. So of course, every time, since we are solar consciousness, every time that the sun gets excited, well, there is more upheaval or excitement within the human family. So this is important to acknowledge, but not to believe that this is going to bring more chaos, because the idea of this podcast is to just give the spin to all the dark predictions for 2025 and really tap into the harmonic aspects that are happening, and the synchronization between the solar cycles, the Mayan cycles of the long count, the Lilian count, the Gregorian count. All these different counts are really weaving together a tapestry of harmony, and we are here to do our best to showcase that harmony, and be aware that what the next revolution that can happen is a time revolution. That's what Jose and Loidin always um, ask for from us is to become like really important parts of this revolution in time that is happening on the planet. And the best way of doing it is just to be in tune with the cycles of natural time. That's what we have been doing. So in the next slide, we can see also that added to this solar activity, there is a special snapshot of the sky that is creating this triangle between Mars, Jupiter, and Sirius. And it was brought to our attention that this page, earthsky.org, which is one of the sources that we use to track celestial events and planetary alignments, they are showcasing Sirius this time because the planetary alignment that we are going to have later in 2020, January 2025, it's really starting to come together. These are the first people coming into the picture, the first protagonists.
First
Just
one showing up to the party.
yes, but this is going to be an ongoing process, which is something that I just really realized until today, because there were so many different versions of what was going on. But in reality, if we go to, this is what is supposed to be on at midnight on January 1st. We have that triangle between Sirius, Mars, and Jupiter, and this is what we are going to see later in January. This major alignment of six planets, seventh with Mercury, that is going to join for a while, and this is going to happen all in the background of Sirius and Orion, such important constellations for the ancestors and for the different traditions that have been tracking the star Sirius, including the Dogon and the Lakota and the Maya, of course. And here we have the what we call the preamble to the golden intersection of timelines, because it's going to happen, this alignment, 260 days prior to the golden intersection, this moment of harmony between calendrical systems that is coordinated or organized by the golden ratio. And we will tap a little bit more on that later on this episode. But this is basically a very auspicious entrance to the Gregorian year 2025. And it's a way to really tune in to something bigger than 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 the news cycle that we see on the web and on the matrix, and put our eyes in the sky and see what is the magic that is happening on this day. It is interesting to note also that in the sky.org, they were highlighting the presence of Sirius as the star of the new year. The same marker that the new dispensation of time holds as the start of the year. So basically, to be absolutely clear, the Gregorian year ends with the star Sirius at the zenith point, or the highest point, at midnight. And this seems to be the at the Giza meridian. If we see the next slide, we can see here, this is a graphic from Richard C. Hoagland. He's a NASA scientist. He was present during the first missions from NASA to Mars, and he is the one who presented the face on Mars to Jose Arguelles, and this is a discovery that he did like in 2000, early in the year 2000, about this alignment of Sirius with the midnight meridian. So what we see in the graph is that the yellow line pointing or traversing Giza Plateau is pointing to Sirius. So there is basically Sirius will traverse that meridian, that half meridian at Giza latitude on this date. This is only, as the graphic says, only from January 1st, 1950 to January 1st, 2050, because of the different positions of the skies, they slowly move the position of the stars. So this is only valid for that interval of time.
I think they call that the drift over time, right? The
Yes,
gradual drift.
Yes. So it's interesting to notice that that there is this hidden marker in the Gregorian calendar, because it has not been part of the conversation, but it's important that now it's getting the recognition it deserves, because this star acts like a beacon. Is the brightest star in the night sky. So of course, whatever this star does is relevant to our time tracking exploration. So this is what we have noticed over the years, that there is this hidden alignment of Sirius with the Gregorian end of the year, and this is part of the harmonization of timelines. Really, we need to come at peace with the Gregorian calendar, despite all the damage and the harm that has been doing to the earth and to our humanity. But of course, at this point, with starting our 443 year with this erroneous system, it is important to at least to start to harmonizing it. From harm to harmony has been the mission here, to bring harmony to all those spaces that there is disharmony. And if we can perceive reality from that perspective, then we can see layers of resonance, like the fact that this year, Gregorian year 2025, that is ending, holds the 9 vibration, and there's all these little bullet points that we can highlight to the fact that this is going to be a year of ruled by the vibration of 9, which is the vibration of completion. And the actually in the Galactic Maya count, January 1st starts on Kin 178, the white solar mirror. So the vibration of the entire Gregorian year is going to hold that tone, as 2012 was the started with Kin 113, red solar skywalker. What is interesting is that the start of the year and the end of the year is the solar tone. So December 31st of 2025 will be white solar wind, Kin 22. And as we were mentioning before, well, the solar tone within Mayan cosmology is the tone number 9, and it invites us to pulse, realize, and hold an intention, pulse the intention. And the fact that is the two bookends of the Gregorian year are the solar mirror. The mirror reflects the order, and the solar wind, which is basically the breath of the sun that is reaching now the earth, because that's what causes the geomagnetic storm, is that solar wind charged with solar plasmas that is hitting the magnetosphere of the earth, and creating a geomagnetic storm. So as we were seeing in the forecast, we may have auroras in low latitudes in the US. So this is going to be like a really special, seems like it's going to be a really special New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, which is the equivalent in the 13 moon calendar to Day Out of Time, that would be tomorrow, and the Galactic New Year, which would be January 1st. So we have the presence of this number 9, that Kwame is going to speak way more about it, and has lots to share. And the fact that this number is the number of the 9 levels of the underworld within Mayan cosmology. Those 9 levels of the underworld, or 9 realms of the earth, are governed by 9 lords of time. Those 9 lords appear on the sarcophagus, surrounding the sarcophagus lid from Pacal Botana, the Temple of Inscriptions in Palenque, Chiapas. And they are supposed to be, they were named the Voluntiku, the 9 lords, and they are parts of a cycle within the Mayan timekeeping system that measures cycles of 9 days. So that is important because these deities, or these 9 lords, are associated with prophecy. Those are the same 9 energies that were governing the 9 cycles of 52 years that were part of the Quetzalcoatl prophecy of 13 heavens and 9 hells, that culminated in 1987 with the harmonic convergence. So the fact that this number is coming so prominently for this transition of the Gregorian year, and that this next year is going to be a solar peak activity and the year of the golden intersection of timeless. So it's a great and auspicious fact that confirms the direction of this exploration that we have been doing.
Absolutely. I mean, as you're mentioning that 2025, I keep hearing 2025 because, as we've discussed previously as well, October 15th is being identified as Phi Day. So that's because the Lillian count that day reaches that 161,803 days, that sequence of days. Now, interestingly, the entire 13th Baktun could be comprised in its own essential, shall we say, hologram of harmony when we look at the fact that the year 1618 is a fractal of that harmony as well, that phi ratio. So for some reason, this year 2025, and we know the relationship of 8 and 13 and the phi ratio present in the 13 count, where it shows up at 5, it shows up again between 8 and 9. You're just comprehending the appearance of harmony across all of these measuring sticks, if you will, that we're actually now resonating at such a moment of harmonization. And that's, again, the purpose in us making that conscious here. So maybe you can speak to the slide here.
Yes, well, the importance of making these Gregorian dates conscious is to really use these points in time as entry points to the subject of why we follow this count, why January 1st. So 2 years ago we decided to embark on the exploration and the adventure of really looking for the answers to that question, why January 1st is the start of the Gregorian year. And it goes back to a cycle that was designed the same year that was created the Gregorian calendar, or that was implemented the Gregorian calendar, the year 1583. The Gregorian calendar, basically, it's an expansion, or very little variation of another cycle, another calendar called the Julian calendar, that introduced the January 1st rule as the start of the year. And then That's when all the confusion started. So when Jose wrote in a document about the campaign for the new time, about the the effect of the Gregorian calendar on human civilization, he makes emphasis on the year 1618 because it's the year that starts Baktun 13. So we wanted to make emphasis on that because it's basically that the golden number in years of the Gregorian count. So the fact that it happened in that intersection, that it's when the 1260 frequency expands, it reveals another hidden layer of the narrative that is unfolding, which is this redemption of the golden ratio, redemption of the number 13, because basically that threshold of 1618 AD was holding the entrance to Baktun 13, and that vibration of 13 that we have been um, emphasizing for during this entire broadcast from episode 1 is really sustaining that pulse of 13, which is the power of cosmic time. It's the power of the movement of time, or the cyclical power of time. So what Jose says about this root of the day January 1st is this paragraph. The technosphere has its origins with the full capture of the human mental field by the 1266 frequency in 1618. From 1618 onward, the noosphere is increasingly obscured by a mental field known as the technospheric shed. Slowly but surely, the technospheric shed replaces civilization. This is first done by the introduction of mechanistic linear time. It is important to note that the Julian count, the basis of all modern scientific calculations, is a scale created by Joseph Julius Scaliger in 1583, 21 years after 1562 Mayan book burning. This linear timescale, like the Gregorian calendar reform itself, was intended to co-opt the Mayan 13 Baktun long count by setting a count of days that begins the 1st of January 4713 BC, or some 1600 years prior to the long count date 13.0.0.0, the beginning of the 13 Baktun count in 3113 BC. So it's important to acknowledge this because that date, January 1st, 4713, as explained on the article that we are citing in the next slide, which we recommend everyone to go and check for the details, because we are not going to dive deep in it now.
I put the
But
link in the live chat as well to the article.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, because this is an article that goes through all the different layers of the Gregorian calendar, and really, we took the time to really go one level at a time to dissect the different layers of this big iceberg that is the Gregorian calendar. So one of the paragraphs of the article is the Gregorian calendar is just the tip of the iceberg of an intricate and confusing system that holds 6 levels of encryption: the Gregorian calendar, 2, the Julian calendar, 3, the Julian date, 4, the modified Julian date, 5, the truncated Julian date, and 6, the Lilian date. So these are the different layers of the Gregorian calendar that we are not familiar with, because before writing this article and doing this research, we certainly were not aware of how many levels are behind this count, and why the root of January 1st is it is the result of the work of this person, Joseph Justus Scaliger, in 1583, when he was looking for a point of origin that will synchronize 3 cycles: the metonic cycle of the moon of 19 years, every 19 years, the moon returns to the same area in the sky on the same phase. And the Gregorian cycle of 28 years that we already talked about a little bit, there is a permutation cycle in which the days of the week fall on the same days of the month every 28 years. And the indiction cycle, which was a cycle of created by the Roman Empire to collect taxes on the land. So that one was a 15-year cycle, and what Scaliger did was extend these cycles of 28, 19, and 15 years to the past, to a point where they all synchronize, and that was January 1st, 14 of the year 4713, I think, is the start. So we went in detail on this on the ephemeris, which is basically the roadmap to the golden intersection. In this PDF, we have a detailed description of what each of those layers of the Gregorian calendar is. We are doing this today because, of course, this is going to be the last Gregorian year before the golden intersection, and we will have next year, 2025, that completion of first the 13 tunes, or 13 cycle of 360 days from the Gregorian reform, and then the 13 years from crossing the 13 Baktun event horizon on December 21st, 2012. So certainly this, the idea is that we have these remaining days to 2025 to redeem this artificial time matrix, to harmonize it through observation. What we observe with the intention holds the mental field in coherence and in harmonic coherence, and this is why entering this 2025 is a special threshold. It's happening with a lot of solar activity. Is starting that 13 marker to December 21st, 2012, and October 14 and 15, 2025, when we complete the 13 tune cycles, or cycles of 360 days that the Maya used to measure in their long count, with the same date that was on the 260-day count on the sacred count, which is the day for Ahau, which happens to be the golden section of the 1320 matrix, or the 260-day count. Day 160 and 161 is always the golden section of the 260-day cycle. So the fact that it's happening on that point was the sign for us to really come and do this broadcast and embark on this adventure of making it conscious, because this is basically one of the hidden pearls of 2025 that most people are not speaking about, but that is one of the main alignments of the year, of our lifetimes, really, to put it into real context. This alignment of numerical factors is only a once in many lifetimes opportunity, a golden opportunity, and this is what we have been highlighting during this entire 13 episodes, what we have covered.
Absolutely. Well said. I know it's a lot of diagrams, a lot of numbers and factors to remember, but certainly the main point is everything is bending towards higher harmony. Everything is literally being synchronized and leveled up. As Audrey Scott Williams was on a few episodes ago, she was indicating that whether you're conscious of it or not, you're still being impacted. Just like these solar flares and the increased solar activity, whether you're aware that that's what's happening, why you have a headache, why you're feeling drowsy or low energy or whatever it may be, we're all being affected by this, and which is a blessing in that sense. It includes absolutely everybody and everything on this planet is literally being in a way reconfigured and brought into a whole new alignment. So that is beautiful. Thank you so much for that piece. And I think what we'll do right now is we'll just go ahead and sync in and tune up and identify where we are in the synchronometer currently. And again, thank you to everybody tuning in with us. I want to send a special shout out to folks in the chat. There is some activity happening there. And as always, a special shout out to Ishel and Alejandra, certainly anchoring this effort in collaboration and cooperation. We appreciate love, everybody. Stay tuned. So if you want to go ahead and take it away, Brother Ruben.
Yes, well, as always, we make emphasis that we are navigating right now new series cycle 1.37, which is this 37th year of the new dispensation of time. This year is coded with the energy of the blue rhythmic storm, so which is kin 19. So there is the frequency of the number 19 holding the entire year. That we were speaking a couple of moments ago that's the number of a metonic cycle. So it's an important frequency. It's a sacred number within many traditions, including the Islamic tradition. And sacred geometry holds the flower of life. It's comprised by 19 circles, and the vigesimal code of the Maya, the advanced vigesimal system, is basically based on the numbers 0 to 19 equals to 20 characters or 20 codes that create the entire cosmology. So within this year, we are right now in the sixth moon of the year, which is in the next slide we can see that is the moment that we organize and balance. This is, of course, in the Gregorian year, is also a moment that people do their own check and balances and kind of take time to reorganize their lives and reorganize their affairs in terms of what are the accomplishments, what are the new goals for the next year, and this goes hand in hand with the energy of this sixth moon of the year, which is about organizing and balancing. And this entire moon is part of a structure called the 13 kin way spell, which is this etheric structure in which each of these frames with the right, blue, and yellow is one moon or 28 days. And if we go into the next slide, we see that in this diagram, we just passed the golden intersection of timelines, the golden intersection of the year, sorry. And we are in the 1320 matrix on the dog wave spell that started on kin 170. Today happens to be kin 176. And this is also which is the yellow resonant warrior, is a one of the 13 clear signs of prophecies carved around the sarcophagus lid of Pakalvotan. And this is the heart of that cycle of the dog that we can see in the next slide. This with way more detail, that this entire this entire moon that is part of the cycle of 13 moons governed or commanded by the human, which is the kin 92. So let's remember that time is fractal. So since in the same way that we have 13 days, we have 13 moons. And right now, those 13 moons are the 13-day kin, or the 13 unit cycle of the human, which is the theme for this entire year, is to develop our free will, our capacity to influence with wisdom whatever happens on the planet. This is the year of the human, really, the year to connect with a deeper aspect of our humanity. And I was listening to a live stream from Robert Edward Grant, and he was saying that he was feeling that this was the transition between the human doing to the human being, to the true human being. That this may be in for those who are tracking the Gregorian calendar, a year or a time that we are going to become genuine, and we are not doing things for approval or for self gratification, but because we're just going to play our role as genuine humans on the planet, you know, and bring these frequencies back. So today is in the sixth moon is the it's December 30th, and the Gregorian calendar is a new moon. Kwame is going to speak more about this phenomena of the two new moons in the month of December. And we can see that this is the 18th day of this sixth moon. So we were speaking about the number 19. So tomorrow would be the two numbers that code this entire year. Nine would be the 19th day of the sixth moon, and the storm is the 19th glyph, and the rhythmic tone is the sixth tone. So basically, the Gregorian year is ending tomorrow on Kin 177 on the 19th day of this rhythmic moon. And it's interesting that it's also closing on Leonardo da Vinci's galactic signature. So basically, red galactic Earth, which is the the signature for the last day of this Gregorian year, and that gives the entrance to the year of the golden intersection. We'll have Leonardo da Vinci at the gate, just guarding that entrance to a harmonic, a golden intersection year.
Wow. Wow. That is you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, and,
You
and
can't make
and we were speaking a lot about the Star Series today, and happens to be that today is the heart of the cycle of the dog. So it's basically, that's why we added like a little graphic of the heart there, because uh, basically every 13 days, the seventh day is the heart of that cycle. So since this 13-day cycle is the cycle of the white dog that holds the powers of love, loyalty, and heart, and that started on Christmas Eve, December 24th. So it's a reminder just to stay in the heart, to really trust the process that is unfolding, and love unconditionally all aspects of it. We have been called to really let go of judgment, and let go of the 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 victimization. We are tapping into that power of the heart to really go beyond, and transcend and include, to really make everything part of creation, and just not create more duality, no? And accept. So this is the invitation today. So congratulations. I know it's your also galactic return, your birthday this year. So please take the
Thank you. No, it's great. It's 260 days since my birthday, my most recent birthday this year, and so that tells me that my birthday will always be 260 days away from the Gregorian marker, December 30th.
Mhm.
So that's just one way to look at the time, science in terms of how you can use that as a measuring stick. So that's also looking, as you said, rhythmic day 19 always coincides with December 31st. So
Mhm.
that's something to commit to memory for people navigating natural time as a way to sort of tether or connect to the Gregorian calendar. You can remember some of the correlated dates like that. So moon 6, day 19 is always December 31st
Yes.
of the Gregorian year. So thank you so much for helping us orient to where we are, to tune in and sync up. And I'm so grateful to bring on our guest. So we're going to, without hesitation, move into to that segment of the broadcast. Thank you so much, Brother Ruben.
Thank you so much, brother.
Right on. Yes, indeed. And as we continue with tonight's special broadcast, as synchronicity would have it, we were contemplating the show the past couple of shows ago, and just looking at this organic, uh, a process that we're experiencing with this ceremony. As we said from episode 1, we in this offering are entering a ceremony, and I had the great honor of meeting our next guest several years ago. I want to say that it was probably 2005, if I'm not mistaken. We go back that far, nearly 20 years, 19 years. There's that number again. So I'm celebrating in this moment 19 years from the first moment when I was introduced to Baba Kwame Sun Horse. And this occurred um, with a special gathering of folks taking place in Tiger Mountain, Georgia, where Kwame was helping firekeep and run a couple of sweat lodges that were happening with a gathering called Beyond the Global Divide. And maybe when he gets on, he can tell me if I'm correct in this memory. But that's when I certainly recall meeting him and being in very auspicious, sacred circumstances and ceremony together with this great elder. And just to share more, Kwame Sun Horse is a researcher of African history, Indigenous American culture, and spirituality, and the founder of A.T.U.M, Awakening True Universal Minds, an organization committed to research and dissemination of cultural, historical, and spiritual wisdom of the original people worldwide. Kwame Sun Horse is recognized as an elder in the Seven Sacred Ceremonies, including the Inipi Sweat Lodge, Hamblecha Vision Quest, and Sundance Rituals. He travels the world as a consultant, speaker, and educator, as well as community servant and spiritual helper. And he is a dedicated father to 6, loving grandfather to 7, and great grandfather to 1. So without further ado, let's welcome our brother and elder Kwame Sun Horse to the Galactic Spin podcast broadcast. Greetings, kin to Kwame Sun Horse.
Greetings, Mikuak Rai and Ruben. I enjoyed you, Ruben. You were directly on point. Let me see if I can get me centered here.
There we go. There we go. Well, we're truly honored to have you, and thank you for taking the time to tap in with us this evening. Do you recall us meeting back in 2005? That many years ago, I guess. Wow, it's amazing.
It was, yeah, because that was, yeah, it had to be 2005 because 2009. I think I met you once before at, you were playing in uh, Day at a Time. When
Okay.
Wanique was promoting his melanated six.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly
Right.
right. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cause
we
see,
had
that's
the.
when
Yeah,
I got my
exactly.
kin too.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, you got, yeah, direct from Wanique. That's exactly right.
Right. My
Well,
melanated six when Wanique was promoting, and then Jose. That's when we met at Jose too. And Carl Kaliman, I met him in 2009 when we did Return to the Ancestors, and
okay.
And Ruben was accurate on his counting, but I
Yeah,
let's see
yeah.
how I can.
There you go. Yeah, we see it.
I'm trying to get it there.
There you go. Perfect. The Mayan factor, path beyond technology. That's right.
Right, because this is what he was talking about. He
Oh
was
yeah.
talking about the count.
Yep.
And the part of the count is, can I see? I needed to see because I sent you those slides.
Sure, I can bring it up.
And
I'll be glad
right,
to bring it up. Yeah, let's go ahead and pull that up so we can share that with everybody. Let me make sure that I have the right slide triggered here.
or you could start from 1 and 2 because you're talking about the parade,
Yep.
because that's what you was talking about when he was saying about the sun and the alignment that's coming up on. Well, the parade the 31st is going to be Mars, Ceres, and I think Venus. They're going to be the triangle. And then you're going to have the six planets. That's going to be the parade on the 25th. Yeah, see the planet parade tonight. And that date is for 2025, which is the 9.
Mm.
And this is a real key factor. What we're looking at is the 9. So can you go to the next slide? And therein, that's what we're talking about. On January the 21st, there's going to be, on that evening, there's going to be what they call a parade, or that's when the planets are in one straight alignment. And these are the activations of what's happening above us. And these are the ways in which we know, after we've crossed the galactic center in 2012, this is the next 12 years is beginning the 13. And no wonder you kept saying that we're dealing with the 13, because 2025 starts the next count, which is the 13, because we went from 12 to 24. Now we're going from 8 to 9, and the 9 planets. Now the next slide. Okay, and this is what we're talking about. What's happening tonight is what's called the black moon. And you were talking about the black moon. The black moon is when we have two new moons in the same month. Just like we have two full moons, we have two full moons. But what happens with this is we've had four new moons in this cycle. And therein lies is that only happens every 33 years. So we've had four new moons. That's why we have a 13 moon count and a 12 solar count, because there's always going to be 13 moons in a cycle of a 12 cycle. So therein has the 260 and the 360 in which the Mayan count. And so, in going with that to the next slide. All right, and these are the books that I wanted to share, because this today, December 30th, this is the count for today. This is the long count, the 13 long count in the calendar, and this is what it comes out to be for today. Because it's very important, because he was talking about the sun cycle. This would be a good, I got to get this right. I got to aim this. Come on, there. This. And what we're looking at is how our consciousness is being affected by what's going on above. Because every planetary alignment, every moon phase, and we're in what we call the solar maximum. This is what you're talking about, the 25th, but it started in 24. It somehow or the other, it speeded up. And this is why we had the CMEs, and then we had on April 17th, we had the eclipse across America. And so then we had the activation of the circadian rhythms of the cicadas came up right after the eclipse across America. And that happens every 221 years. That three broods came up all together at the same time, which activated their mating sound is 7 hertz, which is theta. And you know what theta does to the human, because it's like pink noise to the human. It keeps you into that meditation. So that was the preparation leading into what we're going to have, the coronal mass ejections that came off during the sun cycle of the summer. because we had a 9 and we had a 7x, which was change the magnetic energy, the Schumann frequency in the earth, brought it to where the aurora borealis was all the way to down to Florida. These are what the energies that are coming with the alignments, and where we are in our solar system right now with the Kuiper belt, because it's very important that we have to understand that that right there is dealing with the psychology of astrocartography. And this is very important because we're being affected by every alignment energy that's downloading cosmic consciousness to the planet. This in lies the shifting. Can I get to the next slide? I'm not in control of it. I had to send them to you. All right, and the power of communication. And what it could, you can't make that any bigger. I'll have to read it from my phone. But this is the part of the communication and dealing with when he was talking about, the part of, I can't read it.
I'd be happy to read it off for you if you'd like.
Go ahead. If you could
Sure.
read it off for me.
Sure. The power of communication. Having researched the Maya's understanding and beliefs about time concerning the creation of our cosmos, I returned to the fascinating concept they held about the structure of the universe and how specific time cycles influenced the conscious evolution of mankind. According to what I refer to as their cosmic creation clock, it directs us to a time very soon where all points converge into completeness. This is a point where seemingly repetitive time cycles cease to exist. Here we will examine the possibility that December 21st, 2012 may in fact not be the actual turning point to a new paradigm on Earth. Having said consistently in so many ways, if one believes and waits upon that particular day expecting a transformation of everything, just like flipping on a switch, they could miss important road markers along the way. This is a very exciting time to be here on Earth.
Right. And it's very important that we understand that what is being said, because what's happening is in the next slide when it talks about, this part of the Mayan calendar dealing with the connection, the consideration of the underworld. And this is what we're talking about in the underworld. There isn't an underworld. What we're doing is what the Hopi says is what? The fifth world. We come from under that fourth world. We're now moving into the fifth world. And these are the ways in which we look, because when you go to the next slide, you're going to look at the next slide. I'll tell you, go to the next one.
Yes.
2025 to equal the what? The 9. The 9 planets. The planets are now in alignment because we had the harmonic conversion where all 9 planets was 1987, August 87. And in that part that all 9 were in one straight line. Last year we had all 6 on one side of the sun, and we had another parade that we had, I think 5 of them were there. These are the energies, because what we're seeing is that this part of the galaxy we haven't been in 25,920 years. Go to the next slide. Because this is the key. We talk about the levels of 9. When you look at it, and he was given the count, because 16.4 billion years ago was our cellular cycle. This is when the earth was forming and the cellular was coming up. Then we had the mammal cycle, which was 820 million years ago. The familiar cycle came in 41 million years ago. So that's just 3 cycles. The fourth cycle was 2 million years ago, was tribal, when we became tribal and looking at and being able to come together, not just as family, but we began to form tribes. And what did we do to the next one? On the fifth cycle, that was 102,000 years ago. That was the regional cycle. That's when we began to form towns and colonies and things that we did from that. And then we did what? 5,125 years. We went from 5,125 years from 3115 BC, because that's when you were talking about the 47. But we went back further, millions of years ago. That's why at the start, at the beginning of our existence as a planet and our beingness, okay, then we go from 3115 BC, that we go 256 years from 1555. That was the planetary. That is that when we start looking and seeing what other things was around, and we start counting and looking at how to put it all together. All right, we went 12.8 years from January 1999. We went into what? Galactic. What did we do? What happened in the 90s? We got technical. We got computers. We got to looking at, sending out satellites to see what was going on with the rest of our universe, our galaxy. Therein lies the eighth cycle, which is what we are in now. This is the galactic. This is why we're talking galactic, because the ninth cycle is the universality. This is where we are now, because this is the fifth world. We're now connecting back to our cosmic self, because you were talking about the thing that's happening in October this next year, right? What had happened was October the 28th, all cycles, October the 28th, 2011, but it was really 2012 in October also, with Kalima's counting. And so therein lies you coming back with the 13, coming back to October. You're reactivating that calendar, that sequential order. You see it?
Powerful.
And see it?
Totally.
All right, go to the next slide. There's going to be an empty space unless you check. Okay, there it is. Now, this is the delivery of techniques, what's happening, because what we're doing now is that we're out what? We went outside the galaxy. Now we're in universe. So we're in the Kuiper belt. We're now aligning with our dwarf planets. That's where Pluto and Neptune. Now we've got Setna. But see, the part about Setna, she only comes, that alignment is every 11,400 years. They say 10,000 on there, but it's 11,400 years. And it takes us 63 years to reconnect the energy from her. And Setna is the female goddess of the Arctic. She takes care of the Arctic waters, the oceans. She's like Yemiya. And so with her being in line with that, but her name and the energy from her is the most important part. SE, spiritual energy activating DNA. SE-DNA.
Wow.
That's what she's here. She's aligned. You got Maker. You got 4 more dwarf planets. So we got 9 planets. Then we got 4 more that's in the Kuiper belt that we've realigned with. So that gives us what? 9 and 4 is what?
13.
There we go. Our ancestors knew, because this is how we formulated our calendars, by the cycles of what went on above. We didn't count what went on. Yeah, we went and seen the Nile rises in July 24th and 25th. It rises and brings the soil up so we can plant the crops and we can grow the food and we can do that, because Siri realigns with what? The exact 0 point where we have the pyramid of Giza, where it shines into the Queen's chamber, activating the reflection pool. When you were talking about the mirror, the reflection pool from Sirius energy coming in, that activates that to make the Nile River rise, because that's what? Part of that's the 0 point of the 144 grid. What are we talking about? The 144,000. Therein lies the 9, because when you take each one of us, it's 4 of us. 3 of us. Okay. When you and him, you and Ruben speaking, you send out energy just like on heart math and global consciousness. Your tones and your frequency will send out that it's going to touch 72,000 people. Your 72,000 and his 72,000 will activate how many people?
144,000. Come on.
Thank you.
1 and 4, and 4 is 9.
And there is, what are we in? The 9th cycle.
There we go. Wow.
It's all in divine order. And I would ask people if you, and then with series, see the Dogon, and when they did the Pale Fox, when the two French went over there and they got initiated and they were able to get the teachings, they only taught them part of it because they only know about Sirius A and Sirius B, but there's a Sirius C. There's 3 planets. There's two moons and Sirius. Because the dwarf planet is Sirius A, and that dwarf planet is the size of the Earth, but it's pure diamond energy. A teaspoon of that planet is enough energy as pure diamond. If you get this book by
Ross Ben, yeah,
he talks about Sirius.
Exactly.
And Rock of Ages anew. And the other part that I wanted to go into, he was talking about, where is it? When you were talking about the energy of the sun, and this is why we're having such interference going on with these frequencies of the children, because the thing that they're doing with that is the sun is activating the dormant DNA. We're going from 3 to 10. You named your son Sirius because the energy that he's now activated 10 strands of DNA that he's now growing into, where you had 3. Now he has 10. He's going to activate the other 2 to make it to 12. Because see, all of these frequencies, let me see what I'm trying to find the picture. I was wishing I could have had more time to put more slides into that. But what we're seeing is the activation of the sun's energy into the human body, causing the download to the human and changing its consciousness. Your battery is 30% low. Is that me or who?
I think that might be on your device.
Okay, I'm gonna have to plug it up. But this book is a good book to, if y'all want to know about what's going on with the human, the cosmic
influences on human behavior. Okay.
Right.
Excellent.
It's affecting us because every planet, every coronal mass ejection, even the new moon cycle is affecting the human. And so what we're needing to understand is how do we reconnect back to our cosmic self, because we're moving from a Homo sapien to a Homo spiritus. We're moving from a carbon-based person to a silica-based person. And so in the crystalline of our children, because we had to turn around, change our diet, start trying to eat good and get planet, they come in activated because of the shifting of where we are in our Milky Way, in our solar system, and what the planets are giving to us as far as cosmic consciousness. This is what we have to be looking at. One second.
There we go. Okay. Cosmic consciousness. A study on the evolution of the human mind.
Right. Because, we had the mindset of the Jung and all of those.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
See, Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud turned around and was looking at psychology. This is Carl Jung when he went to Tucson, I mean up in New Mexico to the Taos Native Americans, and he went there trying to tell them that they need to start thinking with their head. They told him, you must be mad because we think with our heart. There's something wrong. Even he had to admit we created psychology because man is evil. He had to understand, why are they so evil?
Hmm.
And these are the things that are being activated because psychology only means spirit. So we had to come out of psychology and go back into spiritology. That's what our ancestors knew. Sitting down at, this is my kitchen table right there, but it's Kitchen Table University.
Oh man.
This is a thing that a sister wrote about and talked about because this is where we learned that.
Yeah. That's right.
And see, even with him, Freud.
Hmm.
Come on.
Yep. The
The
future
future of
of an
illusion.
illusion.
That because they had to change the mind, put us in an illusion to saying that we got all of these problems. But what we got to understand is that they're now created technology to take knowledge. Technology to take knowledge, because everything that goes into the computer is put in by us. We put the knowledge in, it disseminates and gives it back to us, but it changes it.
Right.
Chat GPT, anything that it puts in, it's going to look, because the program is programmed. What Ruha Benjamin wrote the book, Race and Technology. And the book talks about racism that's now is in technology because we got through segregation. My generation, baby boomers, got through segregation. Now y'all got to deal with racism. And therein lies racism. We got rid of Jim Crow. Now y'all got Jim Code.
Hmm.
Algorithms and Jim Code.
Jim Code. Oh boy. Yeah, that's not untrue. That's a fact.
Yes, and what we got to
Hmm.
understand too, I'm trying to give you the info.
Yeah, you're giving it. Stolen focus. Mm.
This says is that our children only has 65 seconds of attention span. We are creating Wi-Fi addicts. And we are becoming Wi-Fi addicts because we're so addicted to blue light and this resonating frequency that we doesn't want to connect to the 432, which is nature, and we don't want to connect the cosmic consciousness. We rather sit. Grandmothers used to give children lap time. You remember your grandmother. Both, I
Yeah.
guarantee you
Yeah.
remember that time with grandma. Now grandmothers give laptops.
Oh no.
They don't give lap time because you got younger grandmothers. So
Mm.
now they giving laptops and iPhones.
Mm. Yep.
So this is why our ancestors left these calendars,
Mm.
in order to understand when these alignments come. We talk about being spiritual. When these alignments come, you have to know what's in the word spiritual is the word ritual. What ritual do you do on that day at a time? What do
Mm.
you do on your cosmic, on your day of your solar return? What are the energies are most powerful to do the part of manifesting the power in us?
Mm.
That's why we have the days and the tones. Is because tones are just like vocal cords, vibrations. They mean a certain thing because each one, and there's 52.
Speak on it. 52.
Right, the seven, a base of four by three, a base of four, four directions, the three, mind, body, and spirit
Mm.
is the seven.
Hmm.
Anyway, I'm gonna, I think I can reach it though. Hold on a second.
Okay, take your time. I appreciate he's giving us the base mathematics and showing us how it's actually activating. I was feeling we were getting into some medicine wheel teachings there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And also acknowledging that, well, we are here really bringing all these different perspectives, like Carl Kaliman, who may differ from Jose Arguelles, and but that still holds layers of resonance. Actually, that date, October 28, 2011, what was the date that put me on this path of wanting to really know more about these cosmic cycles,
Mm.
and the that's my birthday, October 28th. So the Carl Kaliman had like an important influence on my own process,
Mm.
and these ninth cycles that he was speaking, well, it's a very interesting perspective of these nine levels or layers of evolution that the entire planet is going through.
Hmm.
And of course, well, we always go back to the fact that we're in a transition, from one state to the other, from that 2012 event horizon represented that transition from the third dimension to the fourth dimension, and how basically we are living space time, entering the time space, which is basically the recognition that time informs everything on the third dimension, and that everything that we see manifested on this third dimension, it was previously organized by time.
Mm.
So the the fact that we have Kwame today, and bringing us these different perspectives, and the work, or the importance of the psychological and emotional part when we go through these transitions is really key, because as the world is already closing, because in New Zealand and Australia, I think it's already a few hours to that moment of celebration for many. Yes, this is really, with so much interference from technology, this is certainly a moment in time to go out and connect, and start to tune into this planetary parade. It's not a planetary alignment. It's important to mention that it's a parade, so it's going to be visible in the night sky, but it's not that all these stars or all these planets, celestial bodies, are going to be aligned in space. They are going to appear aligned in our view, but they are not on the same. They are not conjunct conjoining. We will have, and we will explore that probably in another, the next episode. We will have certainly a planetary alignment for March, the end of for the equinox, March 21st, and that is going to synchronize with the closing of this 260-day cycle, and with the start of a new solar year, a half year in the Maya Quiche count. So this is also on one of Kwame's articles that we recommend. We hope we can also share that in the chat. His article on the important dates for 2025, And that, for me, that was really a highlight. The fact that the half year is going to start on one ik, and that is going to be preceded by these 5 sacred days called Wayeb. So those would be also the last days of the 260-day count on the dream spell, the galactic count. So it's certainly from January to March Gregorian is going to be a time of endings and new beginnings, and that it's an important window to tune in and to really start to feel the energy of these solar plasmas changing our biology and affecting our psychology, our
Mm.
emotional, being very aware of it, because like we mentioned always, where attention goes, energy flows.
Right. And Ruben, thank you for. I just had to get it hooked up.
Yeah.
What we got to do is watch what's going on above. And you
Mhm.
see that Cepheus, this is what's happening in the north, up in the Arctic. The changing from Dracos to Cepheus constellation is what's coming now that we're moving in another part of our solar system is moving in our galaxy. And what we're having is Dracos will be shifting out, just like we've got Pluto moved into Aquarius. That now is the sign of Aquarius, because Pluto hasn't been in the sign of the constellation Aquarius for 248 years. And 248 years was when this country went into the revolution. The French did its revolution. So you see the cycles. This is why the 9 levels and how we evolved as humans from cellular to our cosmic self. And this is where we are. This is the great shifting. It wasn't the end of the world, it was an end of that third and fourth world. Now we're saying, as the Hopi says, we are now in the fifth world.
Mm.
And these are the parts of what we have to do, because even when the Kemetic gave us the Temple of Dendera, these were the alignments in which we saw by pictures. This is why you had the tones and the glyphs that are resonated, because we understood there were more words in a picture than writing letters. And therein lies the
Wow.
chained woman. And that's the one that's going to be freed. This is the part of what divine feminine and the sacred masculine is now shifting. And so, Andromeda, you're looking at the chained woman. She's going to be unchained. This is why we're having the divine feminine and the sacred masculine. They're unifying again, because we have to have our mothers. This is why we have to connect back to her.
Mhm.
This is a thing that I did on Digit. It's another that we're dealing with, the Milky Way. And who is it? The mother. This is what we're looking at.
Yes.
These stories that were given are not all the true stories. And what we're doing is that we're having to awaken and bring forth our story as opposed to their story.
So let me ask you a question, Baba Kwame. As we are, sharing the significances of these prophecies in this time we find ourselves in, what are some insights that you might share from your travels, just in terms of what people can begin to do at this time to take advantage and to be in alignment with this window of opportunity? That's just a question I'd love to put before you.
Well, how many people have heard of forest bathing? Forest bathing is something we can do, but this is why they've put you into what they call urban. Urban is spelled URBAN. You are banned from nature. And so these why they put concrete and asphalt over the earth, cutting off her frequency, cutting down her trees. And if you have trees in an urban area, they're basically male trees that do not be able, they can release pollen, but they haven't got a female tree to receive it to bear fruit. So what do you wind up getting? Allergies.
Urban, man.
You are banned.
Yeah, you are banned. So in that case, it will be very difficult to connect with Sedna or your.
No, Setna is going. She does the whole planet. It's not in nature, just like Audrey was saying.
Mm,
It's coming down in spite of them. I don't
that's
care
right.
what they try to do. Once a human walks out into the air in the sun, that's why they try to keep you compartmentalized.
In your
But once you
compartments.
walk outside into that energy, you are downloaded. And then if you take your shoes off and find some grass to walk on, like my brother down there, Ruben, he's down there in the motherland in Mexico. And he's walking on the mother, and the bottom of your feet is your soul connects back.
Come on.
That
Come on.
7.82 goes back into your 7.2, and then it goes through and goes up to 33 and comes out through the crown and connects back, and you become a photon.
Mm, mm.
You become a photon human. You become an energy transmitter.
Yes.
And therein lies the part of reconnecting back to your mother.
Mm,
That's why I showed you about the women. We have to connect. Every man has a belly button. Your belly button was the source of your DNA transference. See, the DNA is a direct, our ancestors came before us. So what we're doing is now we're carrying our ancestors. Because when a woman conceives a child, it's 3 generations in her body.
mm.
Hers, the child inside, and the child that's getting the eggs and sperm that's going into that child that's going to be born.
Mm.
Transference. And so in that transference is transference of those ancestors 7 behind us is projected to make the 7 that's coming forth from them.
Absolutely. So, in other words, get out in nature, realign, and get immediately, instantly
You
acclimated.
get downloaded. You
Yeah.
get you can't see. This is why they created 5G and all this technology to take your knowledge, your cosmic knowledge, by putting interference frequencies. It's just like back in the old days when you had to use rabbit ears and you had to turn the dial on the radio. It's because you got to tune that crystal to pick up that highest frequency. And therein lies the interference of 5G, because 5G is 60 hertz, and it will interfere with the water and oxygen. That's why we had such a problem. Because this is what Google is set up for, to take away the energy. Because this is what we got to get back to.
That's right.
Mother Earth. And what you talking about when you said that, McClure, this is what you're talking about.
Mm.
Read it.
Tabator.
Tabo todo. Yeah. Let me see. The reuniting of the two placentas. Yes.
Earth and human.
Mm. Wow.
And what do we do if you're in Islam?
Make salat.
And what do you put down on the earth? The third eye.
The third eye.
There's reasons for what we do, what we did.
Mm-hmm. Keep the connection.
Right. And that's why I was saying you put the third eye down, because you activating, connecting back to what? What's on the other side? There's the galaxy. It's downloading it. It's just you gotta be in the light in order to get the light from it.
It's interesting because that image reminds me then of Khan Balaam making the connection with his father Pakal through the Milky Way from the
Right.
other world, from the other side of the veil, but through the
Right.
Milky Way, where you
And
activate the
see,
Temple of
this is
Inscriptions.
what you were talking about, Ruben, when you were talking about the earth and dealing with. This is the grid.
Okay.
These are the grids. There's 144 that was activated on 2012. That's what Shoshone medicine person Billy Blue Thunder, and that's what he did. He aligned the grid, Mount Shasta, all of these grids. Uh, he came here to Georgia when we had the drought back in 2009, and we went up on the top of Stone Mountain for sunrise ceremony, and we put the crystals and the medicine wheel around the brass pole that's down in Stone Mountain to deactivate the contamination that had been put there by the clan, and it ain't stopped raining since in Georgia. We've got to learn how to heal the earth, because when we do it, we're reactivating. That's why we built pyramids to line with constellations. It's just a teleport coming from above. And what do we have? And we have in a pyramid Sirius, Venus, and Mars. That's the triangle. So the activation is tonight. And you're talking about what to do. That's what I was talking about. Bathing.
Yeah, forest bathing and
Right.
walking
Because what
barefoot
does
on
it
the
do?
earth.
Because see, the thing about the trees and the leaves, each tree, evergreens, maple, they all emit an aromatherapy. When you walking and breathing there in nature, you're getting immunized, you're getting your nervous system realigned, you're getting oxygenated from the tree. The tree feeds. So that's why we're looking at the part of activating and re-electrifying and magnetizing our bodies, because that's why they had this tree with what? The infant.
In the womb. That's right.
Right.
Made from Mother Earth. That's right.
Yeah.
Completely. And returning in such.
And see what we're getting interfered with? I'm sorry I have to show it to you this way.
No, it's all
Cell
right.
phones, that messes up the phone. The GPS, it messes with our frequencies because it interferes with what's coming down. That's why you don't see certain birds in certain places anymore, is because all of the interference and the high frequency and electromagnetic fields that is causing distortion.
Yeah. Yeah, I would also like to acknowledge the fact that these every January 1st is connected to Day Out of Time by 5 cycles of 260 days. That means that January 1st, 2025 would be the same energy than Day Out of Time 2028, because every from January 1st, 2025 to that point in the future, Day Out of Time 2028, there are exactly 5 Solkin cycles of 1,300 days. Again, the 13 poles is coding or closing that circuitry between the Gregorian year and the 13 moon new year, or the galactic new year.
Right.
And and that Sirius is always the connecting anchor, as we.
Okay, and you were talking about five, wasn't you, Ruben? You were speaking on five.
Yes.
Mm.
Are you familiar?
Yeah.
595,
Yes, the 5 worlds in the sunstone.
the fifth world.
Yes.
It was in the disc.
Yes.
595.
Hmm. Yeah, and the fact that this is basically we are completing 5 cycles of 5 years in 2025 since we crossed the millennium threshold. Those 5 cycles of 5 days of that 5 years each also are very important. Every 5 years, we in the Maya used to call these cycles holtuns. So basically, every 5 years, we have 7 Solkins plus 5 days. And that's how the 260-day count and the 365-day count kind of connect every 5 years through that resonance of number five, in which basically 5 cycles of 13 months each is equals to 7 cycles of 260 days. That's the beauty of the two systems, is that they really create a tapestry of harmony that we can track at different time scales, like this 5 years cycle. And so that means that this year 2025 will have resonance with the year 2000 also. Not only
And
with.
see what you were speaking to when you were saying with the sun cycle. This is the new astro sun cycles that they spoke about
Hmm.
in the calendars, and the way they were able to see. And these are ancestors teaching, and that we've just broken it down to where we can understand what they have been able to do for the thousands of years that they were calculating it and putting the sun's orbit into order, that we
Hmm.
could understand that these things are coming, and this is how we're going to interact with inner earth and the earth, because this is what they're calling it.
New solar astrology, yeah.
Right, and this is in this.
Yeah.
And see,
Yeah, that.
we've got to be able to look at the messages that they've been able to get into these brick and mortar institutions where they've been hiding knowledge.
Hmm.
And even the part with the knowledge in which Carl Kaliman, Ian Lungo, and Jose Arguelles, even uh,
Yeah. Beautiful. Oh yeah.
she
That's
was talking about the feminine back then.
yeah. Wow.
And see what the Lakotas and having the start out, they have a bundle. My Sundance Chief Light Golden Eagle, he was the founder of the Star Knowledge, because they were the keepers. Dakotas are the keepers of the 52,000 years of star knowledge. So that means twice around the galaxy, they had the knowledge and the teachings of the spiritual laws.
Hmm. Yes.
And these are the symbols that they learn to read. These are universal laws. Each one of those symbols is a law.
Hmm.
And understanding how to read those symbols to read that law.
Let me ask you a question then, Baba. In light of the star knowledge and where we find
Yeah.
ourselves, yeah.
And you were talking about the medicine wheel.
Mm-hmm.
That's the connection.
Yes.
The vortex of perception. And understanding the symbology of the knowledge that's written in that, because language is created from the female in order for the able to talk to the child when it comes onto the planet, to know what to eat and what not to eat, what to it can do and what it should not do.
Mm.
But it basically was put into art, because the thing that we have to understand, we talk about time, spell time backwards.
Emit.
Emit.
Hmm.
When you
Wow.
time somebody, when you tie somebody, you cut off their way of emitting.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Very interesting. It actually brings to mind the gene keys reflection on what's called the biogenetic new year, and the gene
Right.
key correlated to that is gene key 41, emanation, or to emit, or to emanate, essentially. But that also then is the programming partner for the start of the 13 moon calendar year across the, shall we say, the 365-day span. They perfectly activate each other or stabilize each
Right.
other.
Because in them creating the Gregorian calendar was the sequential thing, is to tie, Time,
Mm-hmm.
tie me.
Mm-hmm.
Because they put you into the change the calendar, change the days. That means that you have days. Are you DAZE or are you DAYS? Or are
Right.
you WEEK or WEAK?
Exactly.
You're caught in the spell.
Yeah. Literally the spell.
And then when you learn the penmanship and the what is it, calligraphy,
Mm-hmm.
then you write the curse.
The cursive. Yeah. Mm.
You write the curse.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, it's a lot of treachery in this Earth school for sure. And yet it seems to me, from what I'm gathering from what you're sharing, is one true way to recalibrate is to return to the mother, return to nature. So, and that requires
Yes.
effort. It requires obviously more effort than just a conversation, but it requires prioritizing that as
Spiritual teachings.
a spiritual teaching and some kind of consistency to support that practice, that process, that recalibration.
And therein lies the part in saying that we have to understand to reconnect to the Wood Wide Web. The
Mm.
World Wide Web is nothing but the telegraph system that they dropped in the 1850s from the United States to Britain,
Yeah.
in order for them to be able to communicate how they going to keep running this country from Britain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now you look at what they call look it up. It's called the Extraterrestrial Fiber Optics Project. Fiber optics is now the thing to where they're sending, this is how everything gets transmitted. This is why I had to plug my phone up, because it's got
Mm.
to be the fiber optics got to have the energy to keep transmitting through the Wi-Fi, and that is
Mm-hmm.
because if you go back, I've got a presentation. It's called Pick It and Click It. When we pick cotton, cotton was made into thread and it became fibers that they used that thread in order to weave and make textiles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when we could even do the old science project, take a tin can, and put a cotton string through it and pull it tight, and you could talk to the other person on the other end of the string. Now you take that same idea and you create the industrial age. You take that cotton and you weave it into textiles. Now you take silica and you stretch it into fibers like hair, and you can transmit light through it, and you weave it back together and bound it together. Now you can text each other.
Textiles to texting. It's quite
Click it, pick it.
Yeah.
You pick it first. Now you click it.
Pick it first, and then you click
still
it.
being captive by the same process of nature.
Wow.
Using her to keep you captive.
And somehow we think we're using her to keep us connected. That's another interesting perspective on that.
But
That's
we disconnect. Why I say it takes you from her. She talks to you in spite of you. Don't need nothing to connect to her.
That's
all
true.
You need to do is be in presence. You are a conduit of energy. You stop learning how to use yourself.
Indeed. Wow.
How can a phone be smarter than you?
A good marketing campaign. That
Very
makes
good.
So.
And why did it sell so good? Bite the apple.
Yeah. Wow. So we need to get back to some clarification on what Sedna is up to right now. I meant to ask this. You mentioned that with the DNA.
What she's aligned with is Maker. There's 4 of them. Maker. There's one elongated planet. It's 4 dwarf planets in the Kuiper belt. Look up the Kuiper belt, the 4 dwarf planets.
Okay.
All right. Now, that's why I was saying about what she's doing, because she's lining up, and that energy that she's carrying that's in our outer rings of our solar system, along with the other planets, because that's why they were sharing about when they seen 2 moons, because you saw the moon from those planets, the dwarf planets out there, being able to align with Earth visual, being able to see it. But we're steady moving around this Milky Way galaxy. This solar system is moving. And so this is why we're moving from water and earth to air and fire. We're moving from the Piscean Virgo, and I was talking to my Virgo friend, and we were discussing that, and we're moving to air and fire.
Would that be Aquarius and Leo?
Aquarius and Leo.
Okay. Yeah.
And now we come back to that Serum Het looks to the east, to the rising where? In Kemet. That we're back to that cycle again. We're back to Leo.
Yes.
That's what our ancients knew in Kemet. That's why it was set there. Because we've come back around this journey.
Wow. So speak a little bit about Sedna as well. You mentioned in this image that in the next 60 years or so, Sedna comes the closest to Earth in her journey.
And then you won't see her return for 11,400 years. They got 10,000 years on there, but her orbit is 11,400 years.
What influence then is Sedna going to have? What's the notion there?
DNA.
Okay, and with the DNA specifically, is it helping catalyze DNA? Is it helping it
activate
accelerate
DNA?
Activate it?
See, we talk about we had 33,000 strands of junk DNA. No, that DNA is dormant because it doesn't have the right frequency to activate it.
Okay, there we go.
Now that we're in alignment and we're on the other side of the Milky Way, we are now in an era that we were 26,000 years ago.
Right.
We're now going to have the frequencies that made us grow into the beings. That's from the cellular 16 billion years ago. Now we've come all the way back up this 9 levels.
Wow. So by surpassing that 26,000 year marker back December 21st, 2012, would we say that it's been a compounding effect? what we've been feeling is a lot of what's called fractal time compression. So in other words, like a reliving of certain things
A
across
reactivation
multiple
of certain
timelines, a
things.
reactivation.
Yeah, because
Exactly.
we're nothing's new under this Helios Biblio.
Right.
And so in that sun, that
Mm,
cycle of this is why we have every 25 years you have a solar minimum and then you have a solar maximum.
right.
And in you having that is because the sun, when I sun dance and I had to do that for 4 days and
Mm,
4 days and 4 nights with no food or water tied to a tree, looking into the sun. The sun, in its essence, is we see the fire and the yellow. The backside is green.
yes. Very interesting. I wonder if why when you take a picture with your cell phone, your so-called smartphone, that you see a reflection or refraction as green from the sun. I wonder if that's connected
Certain,
at all.
yeah, yeah, it's got that reflection of it. But the thing that
Hmm.
it is, the ultraviolet lights travel through the ionosphere and all of the from the sun to get to the earth where you're standing at.
Yep.
You've got interference levels of breaking down that light, because if the sun direct energy came, you would be burnt by radiation, you would be
Yeah.
fried.
Yeah. Not
So
helpful.
therein lies the part that you have these filters that come
Mm,
down. So
stepping
that's
down
why
the
when
energy.
you see the rainbow,
Right.
it's the seven. How many colors in the rainbow?
The primary seven, right?
How many chakras in the human body? The same
The
colors of the
primary seven.
rainbow.
That's right. Yeah. And so I'm imagining that the plasma that we're experiencing also through the coronal mass ejections happening at this maximum sort of pitch that we're now arriving to are then also being stepped down, filtered through the layers to become something we can actually interact with or that are actually helping us raise our vibration
You're
or accelerate our DNA or
right.
evolve our
You're
DNA.
that, but we're also becoming like a time release patch.
Mm,
This is you can't. When we Sundance, we couldn't go back out the fourth day when we finished. We took 3 days. We had to come back to Earth because we were so filled up
wow.
with
Yeah.
the energies. We couldn't come back because you would lose your consciousness going out trying to drive, and that was dangerous.
Yeah.
We had a woman almost killed herself because she had to hurry try to get to work, and she ran off the road into a ditch. Luckily,
Oh, no.
she was on a back road.
Right. Wow.
Because you disconnect from this.
Hmm.
That's why you have to have a downtime in order to reactivate to the
Reacclimate.
level, just like when you wake up
Yeah, exactly.
in the
Exactly.
sleep. You come up out of there too fast.
Yeah. No, it's shocking. I see that with our son. He's, a little over a year old. He'll wake up
Right,
and he's like, "Where am I? Who am I? What's going on?" It takes him
right,
a moment to adjust. But I can
right.
imagine in a case like the Sundance, that's 3 days of no food, no water, just
No, it's
directly
four
in
days.
4 days, exactly, as you mentioned. So, but that direct engagement, you can't, I mean, there's nothing much more you can do than just surrender. I mean, what are you going to do at that point?
Right.
Mm,
And the
wow.
part for that is that, and even when you go to do that, you got to do what they call humblature, the vision quest.
Mm,
That means you, before you can dance, you have to go and be put up on a mountain. Audrey did it. She did
yeah.
21 days.
Yeah. I remember.
I went up there in Toccoa
Yeah. Okay.
because I remember I had to do lodge for her.
Okay.
And that's when the grandmothers came down. She spoke about it.
Was that in,
They came to her and told her.
was that in South Carolina when she did that
No,
or
I was up in Toccoa.
in
That was
Tacoma?
up in Georgia,
Okay. Okay.
North Georgia mountains.
Gotcha. I know I did support for her when she did a 21-day Vision Quest as well. No, I think that was actually maybe support. I don't remember if that was support for Mama Karen. I can't remember. It's been a lot of service over the years, but yeah,
Right. But these are the ceremonies that we have to use to reconnect us to one, filter out all the pollution that we've been
yes,
polluted with.
yes,
Then your body will go back to its natural instinct. You'll be able to tell directions. You'll be able to wake up before the sun gets up.
mm, Mm.
All of those things that were born naturally, your circadian rhythms and all, will come back into activation. We've been dumbed down and dumbed down and dumbed down to where the part for us is it's hard for us to even want to come back in nature.
Mm.
Because children, you tell them go outside and play, they just pick up their iPad and walk outside. We used to go outside and create something.
And play and actually play, exactly.
Right.
Engage with nature, right?
But
Exactly.
there is the disconnect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Quite literal disconnect. So, as we are approaching this golden intersection of timelines over the next several months, like we mentioned earlier at the top of the broadcast, when we became aware of the January 25th, 21st, 25th parade alignment, we knew that that was essentially a gestation cycle leading up prior to the golden intersection of timelines. One thing I wanted to mention is with your presentation, you mentioned that date being January 21st. I looked it up earlier today as well, and I found some similar information about that, that was the opening to the parade when we begin to see the parade of the
Right.
primary
You'll be
six
able to.
planets. And the interesting thing is that that also coincides then perfectly with the biogenetic new year. When we talk about the gene keys and the biogenetic new year, it initiates correlated to January 21st with gene key 41, which again is emanation. Now it's a beautiful recognition that these things are coinciding, they're synchronizing in such a perfect way as support for this parade, this planetary parade. Now, obviously, being visited by 6 and then 7 of the major planets in our solar system over a window of about a month. So, what I learned is that this actual parade will be visible for nearly a month. Starting January 21st, it'll be basically visible up until around February 21st or 22nd. So, and I guess I'm just taking all this in to recognize that we are in such a perfect window of opportunity to return to the mother. I think that's maybe a great way to contextualize it. But in so doing, really return to that source code, remembering, as you said, moving through the pollution, the things that have interfered with the ability to retain and remember that source code. So, how we get back into alignment with that is an invitation to us. I don't know that there's one correct or exact way to do that, but you've certainly provided some insights into how we might want to begin to approach that consciously, recognizing that disconnect that you're talking about. Because we want to make sure we're looking at this opportunity, the golden opportunity that it is, and taking advantage of it as much as possible for the sake of participating in this phenomenal shift that's underway, both as a planetary scale, but also through us as individuals, uniquely as humans at this time.
And you exactly hit the nail on its head with a sledgehammer. The part that you're looking at is, and the part of it is that this alignment, that parade, and then them aligning, because on the 20th we have the inauguration and King swearing in, King's holiday, but on the 21st, that parade aligns us
Yeah.
back with the 21st of March in preparation. Those 60 other days, there you have the energy coming down
Wow.
to activate root, the solar, the heart, the throat. Align yourself with the earth and with the heavens by doing ceremonies, by preparing yourself for the germination of the seed you want to grow.
Mm,
You
mm,
now
mm,
have
mm.
all the activation energy above you
Yeah.
in perfect alignment. That's how you plant seeds in the garden, right? You make a row and you drop a few seeds and you drop a few. So now you got to pick out what seeds you want to drop in the earth that you want to grow with the alignment of the planets that's going to help them grow.
Mm, mm. Now, when we,
Each one of those planets, you have to understand what is their energy.
yeah,
And you align with that energy and you plant that seed and you Just plant it,
Mm.
because the minerals and the source that's going to be given coming up from Inamaka, Mother Earth, is coming into you if you go out to her. If you stay in your house, then you're gonna have to go get you some a potted plant, because you ain't planting no earthly seeds. So
Mm.
you have
Mm.
to go, and you have to go and identify with that planet, those planets. Each one
Right.
has its own energy and frequency.
Yeah.
Everything has frequency.
Mm. Yes.
Each planet. So then you look at Venus is love, Mars is that, Mercury is communication. Each one has an alignment. And the us best thing what you do too is cell salts. The zodiac, the cell salts. Put that in you. Put that in you. Get your body, because you're hibernating. Re-energize your body with those cell salts from those planetary alignments.
Mm.
Build up your system with those energies, because you're getting from, you go out at night and go in the evening, look up and look. If you look at them, you download it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly right. So we definitely want to encourage people to
Ritual,
prepare ritual,
ritual,
spiritual, the spiritual, the
ritual.
spiral ritual,
Right.
the
There you
ritual of
go.
spiraling
You
through the
have to
cosmos.
connect. Right. You have to
Hmm.
reconnect
Yes,
to the
absolutely.
wood wide web and the cosmic.
Come on. Come on. Well, I think this is a perfect conversation to have at this moment. You mentioned that there's a particular alignment happening this evening, right now, even as
It's now, yeah.
it's
This
now.
this this is the fourth moon at the end of the cycle. We've had four
Mm,
black moons.
wow. And that doesn't happen every year.
Every 33 years it'll
Every
happen.
33 years. Okay. So there's something
33 is to deal with what? How many vertebrae in the body?
right, right. 33. That's right. So that, yeah, we're seeing the numbers don't lie. They're all indicating to us the sacrosanct nature of this moment that we're making this conscious. So we certainly want to invite people tuning in out here, listening, tapping in, to take to heart the things being shared here. And I was just thinking about the fact that, okay, where do I plant my seeds? And I thought about getting a potted plant because I was like, okay, I mean, living in Los Angeles, you can't just go plant anywhere
But okay, and even with that part, you may plant a seed in that. But what do you want to plant
in
you in you?
the soil,
What do you plant in your heart
the soul soil.
that's going to germinate?
That's right.
Therein lies it. What do you plant into to your queen? What do you
Mm,
plant into your son?
yes, that's
That's
right.
three of you connecting. You
Yeah.
want that energy to fervor and grow,
Yes.
because
Exactly.
it's in they call it the harmonic conversion, harmony,
Mm,
converting
yes.
energy.
Yes. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit about the white buffalo calf prophecies. I've been
Well, the
noticing
white
some.
buffalo calf prophecy is very much true. She brought the sacred chanupa. Mine's in there on the altar. But that pipe is the earth, male and female.
Mm,
It's the earth and the universe. And it's made out of cantonite stone, and you connect the two together, and you use and put in kanik, and you pray with that, because you don't inhale the tobacco like I've done with my lungs and messed them up, and I've got COPD now, smoking cigarettes. But now I had to stop, so now I'm on a new version. That's why I'm planting the seed with this
mm,
alignment
come on.
for these lungs to come back. The part of the Chinupa, the way the sacred pipe was, is that she brought it, and when she came, and the braves that saw her lusted after her, and he went towards her, and she saw the lust in him, and she turned him into dust. She turned a tornado, and his whole body just turned to dust. Then she sent the other brave back and told them to prepare for ceremony, because she had something that she was going to do. And she came into the teepee, and she had all of the people there, and she brought out the sacred pipe. And she said that you will take, this is the male and this is the female. and you join them together. And in order to send your message to the creator, Wakantaka, you will make a special blend of kinnik, sage, sweetgrass, the sacred herbs, and you will put it in here and you will light it. And then you will pray with it and release the smoke so you can see your prayers. The Native American says, you know, you put yours on a cross and killed it. We put ours in a sacred pipe. We put it back in the bag and we keep it to keep communicating. The part was that is, and then she after she did the ceremony, and this is where the part that says the white buffalo calf. There is a sacred white buffalo calf born. There's always a sacred animal born of albino when times of great shifting. You know, when the last time that it happened here, it wasn't in so much. We had the white buffalo calf born, but the last big thing that happened, the ship in 1619 that brought those 20 captives was called the White Lion.
Yes, that's right.
Then the white buffalo calf was before. So in the calf coming out, it began to go back up the mountain. When it got halfway up, it turned a brownish red, the way that the calf will do. I mean, the buffalo does. It turns a reddish brown. Then it turned into a goldish brown. And as it got, no, it turned into a goldish brown, white. Then it turned into a goldish brown, a yellow, a reddish color. Then it turned into a yellow, a golden yellow. When it got to the top of the mountain, it had turned back black. It bowed to all four directions, and then it went back and joined in Pleiades. That's where she's at with the seven sisters.
Wow.
That's the story of the white buffalo calf woman.
Wow. Well, thank you.
She turned black, and she bowed to all four directions, and she ascended back into the constellation Pleiades, the Big Dipper.
And that definitely resonates, you know, again, across all these timekeeping systems, the sacredness of the number 52, the Pleiadian cycle of
the seven sisters,
and the seven sisters,
stars, the Big Dipper.
Yes.
Right.
Wow.
And you know that that's the symbol of the swastika.
Yes.
Because each season it changes direction.
Right. So if you move it in the 4, then you
have okay, it's spring is facing east.
Yeah.
Summer is facing south. Fall it faces west. Winter it faces north. So you put all four of those dippers up, you got the swastika.
Okay. Look at that. Got to bring up a graphic image of that one next time. That's classic. Indeed. Wow. Well, so much knowledge, Baba. This has been truly, I mean, honestly, we could go on for hours, I know. But certainly this has been very resonant. I would love to invite Ruben if you have any questions or reflections.
Well, just be thankful for your presence, Kwame, and for sharing with us all your wisdom and all those years of study and really immersing into different traditions to bring us here. Yes.
Okay. I most appreciate love you for all that. But I would ask to do this.
Bring it to the center. There we go. The cosmic serpent. Yes.
Because this is what's being activated, the DNA.
Completely.
Yes.
And what is the serpent in that you have the Quetzalcoatl. You got the eagle, the condor, Quetzalcoatl, and the serpent.
Yes.
And this is what was talking about. Because in Red Canyon, there in Sedona, we went to the petroglyphs, and the Mayans and the Kogis, they all came with us. It was showing the different to read how to read the petroglyphs. And the thing that they said was most powerful when you see petroglyphs, cast your shadow on the petroglyph and it connects to your spirit. Cast your shadow on a petroglyph and it connects to your spirit.
Wow. That's some information transfer right there.
Mhm.
Right. Because you're seeing it, but you cast your shadow on it, and that
Yes.
black absorbs.
Mm, mm,
Mhm. Mhm.
yes. Wow. That's beautiful. Wow. Indeed. Indeed. Give me the name of that book again one more time. The Cosmic Serpent. Okay. In DNA. And the origins of knowledge. All right.
Right. And that's who wrote it.
Yes, indeed.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's got a when you was talking about
Mm-hmm. Yes.
wait a minute, go the other way.
There we
Not
go.
the and you're talking about the tree.
Yes.
Because see, the tree is the first community. That's why we have the sacred forest. The tree, and then you have the wood wide web, because everything was connected in inner earth before it came up on top earth.
Yes.
It was everything was connected inner earth. That's why you plant the seeds in the earth. And that connection, the microbial, you seen the fantastic fungi.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And therein lies the wood wide web.
Okay.
Because the energy never dies. It just keeps connecting and passing on information genetically through the earth.
Mm-hmm. I learned several years ago that the mycelial network, that fungus is the largest single being on Earth.
Yeah,
It's a
that's
single.
the
It's a
wood wide
single.
web.
It's a single being. Exactly. The Wood Wide Web.
Right.
Love that. Love that. Baba Kwame, let us know, where can people follow up with you if they want to learn more. I know you have a Linktree account. I think you shared that with me previously. And that's in the description for the show today. But are there any other points? Are you on any social media platforms yourself?
No, I mean I've got a YouTube. A brother out Alex out in Oregon recorded me and made a YouTube and put it on. Like you
Yeah.
said, you see me on. I've been on Black Magic 363,
Yeah.
and that I mean social media I don't use because it's a tool that they use. And how did you learn about me? Through word of mouth. It wasn't internet.
Exactly. It wasn't the internet. No, it was not. It was actually very. I learned about you through Audrey, as
Yeah.
well as through other community on the Atlanta side, for sure.
Right.
Definitely. Shout out to Baba Wanik, uh,
Oh yeah.
Shabazz, and WRFG listening community in
Tahita,
Atlanta,
Tupac
Georgia.
L.
Mama Tahita. Yep,
Right.
absolutely. Tahita Tupac L.
Those all the old timers.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Big shout out to all those keeping tried and true in this transformative time that we find ourselves living in.
But the thing that I'm seeing, and I commend you and Ruben, you are the wisdom keepers now. We are the elders. And what it has to be done is we're passing on to you. The thing that has to be done is that we have to stop having generational thieves. You can't don't take that as much as you can put out there that's your truth. Pass it over to the next generation.
Yeah,
Because when you go, it's a set of encyclopedias.
yeah,
And
that's
then you
true.
got to record as much as needs to be recorded,
Exactly.
because you look at the ones that just left here this 24 year in the eight.
Yeah,
Jimmy Carter just left 100 years old, the oldest president.
yeah,
He just left yesterday.
that's right.
So
I know your state's people there are definitely holding space for that. That's a huge. I mean, what a life and legacy he lived. Frankly,
he
quite
did
phenomenal.
greater as he only did one term.
Yeah.
He won a Nobel Peace Prize and had world global recognition that he
After
did for
being the
being
president.
after being a president.
Exactly. Exactly. Absolutely. I mean, he was already at that point in his 60s. He just living
But
his
but the good
reinventing himself.
yeah, but one good thing that he did, two good things that he did for us. One, he was and to dealing with segregation. Number one, he dealt with segregation and he changed Black History Week to Black History Month.
Okay.
He changed the Freedom of Religious Act for Native Americans, he signed that we could have sweat lodges. All of our ceremonies was coming that we could go back and do.
Oh,
He was
amazing.
the one that helped to bring those about.
Well, absolutely. We definitely want to give great thanks for that, that he was so guided to do that. Obviously, that's very significant for many, many people.
Well, he was George Washington Carver's cousin.
Okay, there you go. There it is. There it is. That's real.
Peanut,
Yeah, yeah,
Peanut.
exactly. He's a peanut farmer. That's right. He was a
That's it.
cousin. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, we're going to be continuing to do these episodes over the moons to come, and I will be reaching out to you that hopefully we can have a chance to tap in with you here in the coming months, just to kind of check in with where things are at, kind of take a pulse for the energy as we're moving through this season of great transformation and change. Certainly this year, Gregorian 2025 is going to be one for the records, no doubt. But
Well,
we look forward to having that chance to follow up with you.
okay, and I appreciate love it too because I'm trying to show. I've got some more, like I just showed the those are PowerPoints that
Yeah.
I create. That one that I've got one that I would like, but it's a long piece, and I'd have to condense it down. It's called DI on TI versus AI causing MI.
Mm.
Divine intelligence on Turtle Island versus artificial intelligence causing mental illness.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a big can of worms right there to navigate. Considering the fever pitch at which AI is affecting everything, it seems. We do talk a little bit about that on our
But
podcast. We look
DI
at
is
some of that.
greater than AI.
Oh, completely, completely. Completely. We did a podcast a couple of years ago taking up that very subject. We referred to it as noospheric intelligence or natural intelligence being, obviously far greater than artificial intelligence. But that's definitely a subject to keep at in front of us because of so much rapid change happening that is impacting human day-to-day life, generally speaking. So watching these different influences accelerate the way that they are, I think it's quite an interesting thing to compare the impacts of the artificial side of things with the impacts of the natural, divine, noospheric side of things, as we're witnessing all of it happening.
Well, and that's what he came up with the noosphere, is
Yes.
because, and then it's just like the hemisphere. And
Right.
then and each one is just like I was showing the picture of the tree and that global. It's the part of there's different things in which we're now being able to get penetrated.
Mm.
And
Yes.
see the ionosphere, and
Mm.
then that whole thing. Now we've got satellite spheres because we got all of these satellites over the ionosphere,
Yes.
and that interference causing, because when those CMEs come off the sun, they're dropping those satellites that they hit and knock them out of. They disintegrate before they hit back to the planet.
Mm.
Some of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of traffic out there in the
Yeah,
outer
and
outer
X is
outer
the
bands.
right, because X is lower because it has to be lower than the average uh, satellite
Right.
because it has lower transmission to smaller disks.
Exactly.
That's why they can use it in areas that's been devastated
Yeah.
because they can just take it in portable and then they can
Exactly.
transmit, and that's what they do with it. But
Right.
therein lies the part of the two countries that they're now trying to drop fiber optics to, is the continent of Africa and the
Mm.
continent of your continent, South America.
Mm. Yeah.
They're trying to get that there, is because those are the two new markets.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see, considering all the political maneuvering happening right now, particularly as it relates to Musk and obviously he being the owner of X, formerly Twitter, as well as what's happening with
Well,
Starlink,
you
as you're
have to
mentioning.
Right, but what you
Yeah.
have to look at is his formative years up
Mm.
until he was 17 with that adolescence. He came up in apartheid South Africa.
Oh yeah, 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 definitely.
So he already has his plan in place
Yeah.
of what he wants to see in this space, that the place that he came from.
Mm. Wow. It's going to be quite something. I tell you what, it's going to be quite something as we witness the next several months are going to be very telling, I think. But it's quite a situation as there's a crescendo happening, as we said, where you put your attention, energy goes. Uh, where attention, what is it? Where attention goes, energy grows. I think we've been
Right, but
saying that a lot.
what we're seeing is January 21st is the
Yeah,
alignment, and
yeah.
that's going to last for some months until the next alignment. So therein lies divine intelligence is
Mm,
countering the interference of what just been sworn in.
thankfully,
Therein lies the see. We got to look at how we're being guarded.
yes,
You know,
exactly, exactly. I totally see that. Absolutely. Well, I tell you what, we look forward to getting back together with you and getting a follow up report on how things have been shifting and moving forward post January 21st. We'll check back in with you, perhaps maybe even around March 21st could be a good time to drop in with you, as that
that
would
would
be a
be
really great window just to kind of anchor some germinating of these seeds that we're planting now. Between now and that window, I think would be a great time to recircle back with you.
right, and that's why I was sharing the part of the planetary. Each see what planets are like right now tonight. That triangle.
Yes.
Siri and that, because therein lies the galactic, that cosmic, I mean that solar new year begins.
Mm,
That's
mm.
what they formulated the calendar from, because that alignment happens every December 31st. It's not a new year because we
No.
10 days into the solar winter solstice.
Right. True. But it's definitely telling us something. It is definitely telling us something.
Don't believe the hype.
Oh, man. Yeah, Baba. Well, thank you so much for tapping in with us tonight. Thank you so much for bringing this communication to help stabilize us, as it is your lunar wind nature to present information that is going to challenge and stabilize us. But you are communicating on behalf of spirit, and we greatly appreciate love that, knowing that
Uh,
you're out here in the energetic field really representing. So it's much appreciated.
all right.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Thank you so much for being with us. And thank you, everybody, for staying tuned. And we'll be right back in one moment in Lakesh. Indeed, big gratitude to Baba Kwame Sun Horse for joining us tonight and really, elucidating a myriad of the prophecies. And really, what I find is so interesting is just like with these converging timelines, the intersecting timelines, there's so many prophecies across the cultures, many for several thousand years in some cases, others are even more current. But they're all pointing to this intersection now that we find ourselves living in, this window of, we might even go so far as to say this 52-year window is just full of so many significant milestones for us as a planetary whole, that we're actually realizing that we're a planetary whole. Up to now, we've been operating more as like individuals and societies and tribes and all these things that were even described in the conversation, but we're coming to the recognition that there is truly a noospheric reality that we're living into. And that's one of the beautiful things emerging with this golden intersection of timelines as what is next and what we're going to continue to amplify and make conscious with this broadcast to the best of our ability. But Ruben, I'd love to tap in with you and get any thoughts or feedback you have from that wonderful conversation we just had with Baba Kwame, as we're also looking ahead to what is next.
Yes, of course. Well, it's always great to be able to have such a wide spectrum of knowledge and wisdom to be able to elevate our perspective from all that is happening on Earth. Like you mentioned, 2024 is certainly not going to pass unnoticed, and like Papa Kwame mentioned, we are in this parallel timelines of artificial versus organic or natural time. And the more we can tune in and return to the mother, return to nature, the more graceful this entire process is going to be on an individual and collective level.
Mm.
So giving thanks for his presence and his guidance. And if people resonated with anything that was shared on this 13th episode, we ask them to like, share, subscribe. It really helps to to turn on the algorithm, and to really tap into the essence of what is this golden intersection, which is this alignment of calendrical systems, the convergence of prophecies, timelines, and markers, orchestrated by the golden proportion, by the phi ratio. And we are today 287 days, and I was making conscious during the broadcast that this Gregorian year that starts on a solar tone and ends on solar tone will have that golden intersection also on a solar tone, which is the yellow solar seed day, kin
Mm.
2 and 4. So from the tomorrow to that golden intersection, we have another uh, fractal of these cycles of 13. I guess that if it's today is 287 days, in a couple of days would be, in tomorrow would be 286 days, which is basically two two cycles more of 13 after 260.
Mm.
So we are approaching that 260-day countdown, where we will be tomorrow 26 days, or two cycles of 13 days
Hmm.
away. 22 cycles of 13 days. 22.
Wow.
Yeah. On a Gregorian year that will end on Kin 22 White Solar Wind, the sign of prophecy, also the birth sign of Loidin Burris, the person who, next to Jose, really birthed this new way of perceiving time to the world. So we give thanks for so many signs and of prophecy fulfilling themselves, and for Kwame to bringing them together.
Absolutely. Quite a combination of influences, and just so grateful to have his wisdom to help us navigate all of the interference, because that's also still, happening in the 3D. There's a lot of interferences, a lot of distractions.
Mhm.
Obviously, he was commenting on the use of the cell phones and the devices and how they disconnect us from nature, which is one of those ironies as we're here attempting to return and evolve, and yet we find ourselves also limited in some cases to the fact that we feel the need to use these devices to reach a critical mass of people, and that may or may not be the entire truth. However, it just seems to be one of the methods that we're employing currently. But I definitely feel to take ourselves deliberately into nature, it seems that nothing less will really do right now. And so I appreciate him, sort of elucidating that fact, relative to the family or relative to planting our seeds. What do we want to plant inside of ourselves now to germinate and to come to fruition? Because we're in a very, very sacred window of planting right now that could be best identified. This window right now, as the planetary alignment is coming into view, it's a great time for us to plant in ourselves what it is that we want to manifest throughout this alignment. And so we want to invite people tapping in and listening to the broadcast to really take that to heart, to consider what that looks like for them. And of course, we always invite you to visit our presence online. I do need to mention, actually, as a point of housekeeping, that our Instagram account is not active currently. We did have a little issue with that over the past few weeks, and we hope to have that resolved soon. So thank you for your patience with us, but you can always tap in with us on our primary Facebook page, which is Harmonic Convergence 2020 to 2028, as well as the Facebook group, Harmonic Convergence 2020 to 2028 as well. Of course, we'll be here in 7 days' time. In the meantime, we invite you to visit our ongoing online petition, just to sign the petition, Calendar Referendum Initiative 2028 and Declaration of Universal World Peace, as we identify ways to bring the awareness of calendar change to more people's awareness, as many ways as we can. This happens to represent one of those methods that we've been using to help raise awareness about the calendar change and why it's important. And then also we want to invite people, of course, to visit theharmonicfactor.com, where they can download a copy of the current year, the synchronometer, the 13-month, 28-day synchronometer for the current year blue rhythmic storm. And as we are wrapping up this, I guess we have one more episode that will land in the rhythmic moon of our broadcast. So the first episode of the Gregorian New Year will show up in the rhythmic moon. And this whole moon, again, holds the frequency for the year as well. So we're in the frequency of the year, being the rhythmic storm year. We're in the frequency of the moon coded by the rhythmic tone, this being the rhythmic earth moon that we are currently navigating. So we invite you to, again, download the tool. You will learn all about fractal time in that calendar when you hear us speaking of some of these other scales of measure and these fractal scales. You'll begin to appreciate the beautiful elegance with which these various time scales express themselves, which is why we get so excited with our service to provide an awareness of these tools and how they apply and how we can take advantage of them. So we just want to, again, bring these things to consciousness to all those tuning in. You can also find out more information about our work online at 13months28days.info, the venuscalendar.org, I think it is. Or is it .info? I'm not sure.
.org.
That's right. The venuscalendar.org, where you'll learn a lot more about the significance of our, we'll say, twin planet Venus to planet Earth and its relationship that we do also see very prominently evident, as we're going to see with this planetary parade, as Venus, as well as several of the other planets in our solar system, are joining Sirius and Orion's belt in the night sky for what is going to promise to be, I think, a beautiful array and display for several days at the very least, as it's going through this ongoing process of alignment and parading across the night sky. But it will be very visible, particularly to people here in the Blue Monkey Zone, North America and Mexico. It's going to be very visible to many people on this side of the world. And we look forward to just getting more reflections from folks out here tuning in for the journey, just to get a sense of how they're finding this transition, this transformation that we're all experiencing. I also look forward to us providing closer to the planetary parade timeline some insights that do relate to the gene keys. And we do hope to have some guests who are very learned in the gene keys to come on and join the conversation. So we look forward to getting that lined up for everybody here in the very near future. And in the meantime, I think that I think this has been a fantastic episode. I know it's gone a little longer, but sometimes you can't rush these things. We just like to take it in stride. But I want to thank you, Brother Ruben, for being so attentive. As I know you're a couple of hours ahead of me there in the future. I know. So
Yes.
therefore, it's getting on. It's almost tomorrow where you're at.
No, it's already, yeah. Well, yeah, it's almost tomorrow. It's
Almost.
almost tomorrow.
You're about to enter the first watch of the new day. You'll be moving into Kin 177, and then I'll soon follow shortly thereafter. But I want to send a special shout out to Ishel and to Alejandra for, as always, keeping things organized and tight and helping folks in the live chat navigate the experience. So thank you to all those who do tune in and have tuned in this evening. We look forward to tapping in with you all in 7 days' time. And of course, a special shout out to our guest this evening, Kwame Sun Horse, who just phenomenal and a real blessing. So all that said, we give great thanks, and we're so grateful to continue to be here and show up in this way. And any closing words there, Ruben?
No, just for all those persons who are still following the Gregorian calendar and who wants to, who are feel inspired to make a change or have this New Year resolution, an important resolution, that it may be the new time resolution, and that this is the perfect time to download the 13 month 28 day almanac from our website, or to find it on lawoftime.org.
Tune in with the galactic spin.
At you can have a wonderful experience just noticing the little shifts, subtle shifts in your consciousness, in perspective, as we shift our time frequency, which is the only resource. Time is the only resource that we all human beings share equally. No one has 26 hours a day, or more than 365, or, well, in this case, 366 days in one Gregorian leap year. But this is basically our most valuable resource on the planet at the moment. So there is so much different energies competing for our attention. So it's always wise to give our attention, our intention, these
Tune in with the galactic.
tap into the new cycles of time and the natural time.
Mm-hmm. Well said. My apologies for the interruptions there.
No worries.
As usual, having some technical opportunities, but yeah, we give great thanks. Thank you for staying up with us and staying tuned in, tapped in, and in sync. And we'll be back here with you in 7 days' time. Thank you,
Yes.
everybody. In Lakesh.
Lakesh.
In Lakesh. Alakein.
Tune in with the galactic spin podcast and expand your view.